Alright guys, so finally I'm doing my Cowboy Bebop Q&A. Hope you all enjoy this. Yeah, as always, if I did not answer someone's question, that either means it got marked as spam, or it didn't show up at all on the question list. So yeah, also if the mic sounds a little funny, that's because I got the fan on, so yeah. But having said all that, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Alright, starting off with Billy McCary asking, What the Wired is Cowboy Bebop? It's an anime about bounty hunters in the year 2071. Or a little further than that. Anyway. Alright, what would happen if Thanos or Darkseid or Vilgax or Lord Dominator entered the Cowboy Bebop universe? It'd get destroyed, that's what would happen. And third question. The Cowboy crew meets the following. Stormhawks, Avengers... shenanigans. To answer all of it, shenanigans, all in one. Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Billy McCary. Moving on now to J Witch Dragon, who asks, if Spike met Wolverine and they had a comment about sounding alike, get it. Oh, yeah, they'd be like, hey, you sound like someone I know, bub. I can't do a Steve Blum impression, so it'd be like, hey, you sound very familiar, bub. Oh, I do? Huh. Nah, I don't hear it. That's how it'd go. Alright, what'd you think of a Cowboy Bebop Outlaw Star crossover? Oh, I love an Outlaw Star. I love a crossover between those two. I think that would be a lot of fun, and actually. I don't know how to do it, but I think it would be cool. Third question. Would Vicious make a good Batman villain? Yeah. And to quote Cash Smith, who also answered the question, yeah, I think he'd make a good Daredevil villain too, but yeah, Vicious would make a great Batman villain. Alright. Thank you for those questions, J Witch Dragon. Moving on now to Malingar, who asks, Skeletor! Just kidding. I've seen a lot of people compare the series to Trigun. What's your opinion on this, and do you think you'd consider it better? Why? I like Trigun and Cowboy Bebop respectfully, and I think a lot of people, why they say it copies Trigun is because they came out at roughly the same time. But no, I don't really. Other than that, they're both about gunslinging. They're not really all that. They're vastly different in a lot of ways. So no, I've never really seen the comparison that Cowboy Bebop and Trigun are pretty much the same thing. I've never really thought that. Anyway, second question: considering how easily Bebop can fit into that universe, how would you do a crossover with Doctor Who? Maybe have it that Spike gets a contract on the Doctor and thinks it's someone else, and he just goes along with it, and shenanigans ensue. Alright, did you know there's a reference to Ein in Ruby? There's a corgi in the show called Zwei. Ein and Zwei are German for 1 and 2, if you didn't know. And I knew about the German words, but I haven't gone through Ruby yet, so thanks for letting me know. Anyway. Thank you for those questions, Malingar. Moving on now to Ian Green, who asks, what would happen to the Cowboy crew if they met Zim? I think Zim would go, he would look at Ed and go, you sound very familiar, like someone I know. For those who don't know, the actress Melissa Fawn who does the voice of Ed in Cowboy Bebop. She does the voice of Gaz. And she also did Rika from Digimon, from the 3rd season of Digimon. Yeah. Let that sink in. Second question. The Cowboy crew met the following. Studio Ghibli girls at one time. Oh, if you met these girls. San, Nausicaa, Chichiro, Shita, and Kiki. How would they all interact? I think just a lot of fun times all around. Alright, how would a Voltron Cowboy Bebop crossover go? I don't know, because I still haven't watched Legendary Defender yet. I'm rewatching Luke Cage. Cut me some slack. I'm rewatching all of Luke Cage. But yeah, Legendary Defender's next. When I have the time, I'll finally watch it. Now that Season 2's coming. Anyway, in the end, only Faye and Jet... Oh wait, sorry. Thank you for those questions, Ian Green. Moving on now to Chris Haddock, who asks, in the end, only Faye and Jet were left on the Bebop, with nowhere else to go. What is your opinion regarding to what could happen next for those two? I think, honestly, you could say, because the creator of the show, the creator of the manga, as well as the, one of the major heads on the show, he said that Spike isn't, he left it up to interpretation if Spike died or not. He left it very much so you could decide for yourself if Spike lived or if he died. I personally like to think that he got through his injuries and lived. So, yeah, but honestly, yeah, Faye and Jet were all that were left after Ed left, and yeah, they had nowhere else to go. I don't know what would happen. Maybe they would just go. I think they would go their own separate ways, and Jet would take the Bebop. Anyway, second question: what would a day with Ed and Ein be like to you? Probably nothing but madness, and I'd get sick of it in an hour. All right. Remember Andy, the literal cowboy? How many personas do you think he has gone through? And hope. Oh. Oh man, Andy. That was weird. How many personas has he gone through? Probably a lot. Anyway, moving on. So thank you for those questions, Chris Haddock. Moving on now to Cash Smith, who asks, Han, Spike, and Malcolm Reynolds team up. That would be awesome. Second question. T-800 hunts down the Cowboy Bebop gang while undercover. Good crossover? Well, the problem is that, you know, while the Earth is destroyed, the Bebop universe is mostly centered around Mars and in a lot of other planets outside of Earth. So yeah, and in the Terminator series, yeah, man had lost its ability to travel through space, so it's a tough one. Third question: Ed meets Wander. Is anyone's sanity spared? Nope, not when those two get together. All right, what are some of your favorite episodes? Thank you for those questions, Cass Smith. This question comes from Nicholas Bodo, hope I'm saying that name right, who asks, what are some of your favorite episodes? You said Ballad of the Fallen Angels, Waltz for Venus, Jupiter Jazz, Perriot LaFour, Brain Scratch, and Real Folk Blues. Yeah, those are pretty much all my favorite episodes, too. Those are some really damn good episodes. Those were just really spectacular episodes, and even the Heavy Metal Queen was also a fun episode. I really enjoyed that as well. I really enjoyed Heavy Metal Queen. Yeah, every episode is just golden, more or less. Alright. So thank you for that question. Moving on now to Christian Sager, who asks, am I the only one who thought Mad Perriot was a scarier Mother Hubbard than Vicious? Yeah, you're right. It also did, the whole suit didn't make a lot of sense, and the technology behind it was weird. Alright. If Mad Perriot flies down to you in an alleyway, do you A, run, scream, wet yourself, all the above, E, none, because... probably be D. Alright. Which Bebop villain could you see you and your friends take in a fight? When Asimov, the old bioterrorist lady, etc. I don't think we could take any of them. Thank you for those questions, Christian. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley, who asks, if Spike met MLP Spike, what would they think of each other? I think Spike would kick the dragon like a football goal, for a football goal. Outlaw Star. I already answered this one. Rick and Morty meet Spike. What happens? Rick and Spike have a smoke and have a lot of they have a lot of fun times. Anyway, moving on. So thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Nolan Uno, who asks, could you see a spin-off series, and how would you do it? Maybe have Spike come back, or maybe focus on it's a series focusing on Ed and Ein traveling from place to place. Maybe do a series around Ed. Alright, second question. Ed forces the Bebop group to watch King Kong vs. Godzilla. How does each other react to the end of the movie, and what other cheesy movies do you want them to watch? I think it would be hilarious to watch them, for Ed to make them watch, Plan 9 from Outer Space. That's the one. Alright. What would the Lagoon Company and the Bebop group think of each other, and how long would it take for Revy to lose it with Ed? Probably about 5 minutes, honestly. I think Jet and Dutch would get along pretty well. I think, they would get along pretty well. Rock would probably get along well with Spike, Faye and Revy would probably be friends. Maybe. Alright, moving along to Alexander Anayas, who asks, what makes Cowboy Bebop so awesome? Everything. The music, the animation, the voice acting, both Japanese and American, and the American dub. It's a work of art. It is literally the storytelling. It's just a goddamn work of art, and we all love it for it. God damn, is this show a masterpiece? Honestly, it's it's just beauty, and it's beauty incarnate. Alex. All right, what would be the most awesome thing to cross over with Cowboy Bebop? I really don't know. What would be like the most awesome? I would say Dread, but then it doesn't really match up with the timeline, so I don't know. Favorite characters on the show? Spike. You can't go wrong with Spike. Vicious, Faye, Ed, Jet, the main cast in general, and Vicious, and yeah, there's so many great characters. All right, thank you for those questions, Alexander. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks: the crew of the Bebop meets Undyne, Alphys, Sans, Papyrus, and Metaton. What happens next? I think they don't. I think the crew. I think Ed and I think Ed would try to take apart Metaton. I don't know about everyone else, but yeah, Ed would try to take apart Metaton. All right, Spike runs in the following while in a seedy intergalactic bar. Boba Fett, Jonah Hex, Ash Williams, Aaron Black, Slade from Teen Titans, Johnny Cage, and Alucard. How much damage are we looking at when a brawl breaks out? Yeah, we're looking at about $1 million. Or more. Probably more. Definitely more. Third question. Which of the following would Vicious despise the most? Dragon Ball Evolution, Last Airbender, Terminator Genesis, Plan 9 from Outer Space, or DBZ Bio Broly? Probably all of them. Alright. So thank you for those questions. Moving right along to Grodhanks, who asks, I know you really don't do fan casting, but who would you cast for a live-action Bebop movie, and who would you pick to play who? I honestly don't know because I suck at fan casting, so I don't know. Aside from Vicious, where would the other what are the other villains you enjoyed? Mad Parrot? Yeah, Mad Parrot. That was a good one. The little kid, the little kid who turned out to be a midget and who played jazz all the time. That kid was freaky. Those guys. Which of the show's animes would you like to see crossover with Cowboy Bebop the most? I already answered this one. I don't know. Alright, thank you for those questions, Grodhanks. Moving on now to Tao T. Jones, who asks, if there's another Cowboy Bebop anime, would it be a sequel or prequel? You could, the way it ended, you could honestly do both and I'd be fine. Anyway, second question. If you could form a Magnificent Seven lineup with anime characters and Spike was your first choice, who would your other seven be? Alright, my Magnificent Seven team for anime would be Spike, of course, Revy, Vash the Stampede, Alucard, trying to think of who else, because that's 4. I'm trying to think of 3 more. Rally Vincent from Gunsmith Cats. Yeah, Rally Vincent from Gunsmith Cats. There's 5. And for the other 2, what's his name from Gundam Wing? Oh God, what's his name? I can't remember, so I'm not going to count that one. Lad Russo from Bakino. There's 6. Yeah, Lad Russo from Bakino, because every team needs a wild card. And my 7th pick would be Riza Hawkeye from Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, why didn't I think of that one sooner? Anyway, wait, you got one more question. Who do you think was the scariest villain in Bebop, minus Vish? I already answered that one. Alright, moving on. Thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Brian Cam, who asks, Spike, Han, Star-Lord, Mal, and the Ghost Crew and Kirk enter the Mos Eisley Cantina with their respective crews. What happens and what do they talk about? Probably all the adventures they shared while getting drunk on everything they can get their hands on. Second question: Who had the better and far more ending? Who had the better and the far more famous ending? Cowboy Bebop or Code Geass? I gotta give it to Cowboy Bebop because that ending was it goes up there with one of the greatest anime endings ever. Third question: Spike's ship enters a race against the Milano, the Millennium Falcon, the Ghost, the Enterprise, and the Serenity. Who wins? The Enterprise, because that thing can reach warp 9. So yeah, I'd probably leave the other ones in the dust. Probably the only one who could catch up was the Ghost or the Millennium Falcon. Anyway, think of those questions, Brian Cam. Moving on now to Alistair Boneman, who asks, where would you rank Vicious as the main villain of the series on a villain list of anime great bad guys? Probably very high. I don't know where exactly, but definitely very high. Second question, what would the Cowboy Bebop crew think of the following, and vice versa? The Green Lantern team from Green Lantern the Animated Series, the Firefly group, and Guardians of the Galaxy. They'd be thinking, a bunch of fucking weirdos. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Alistair. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, who would win a fight between Spike and Mugen from Samurai Champloo? I don't know, because, Mugen only has his sword, but Spike has a gun, but yeah, he could, Mugen's so quick, he could cut through those bullets. I don't know. If you could create a new member for the Bebop crew, what would their personality and backstory be? I don't know what to do with that right off the bat, but I maybe have it as a gunslinger type, like some kind of he looks like some kind of Old West bandito or something like that. Third question: how would a crew react to Bebop from the TMNT universe, any incarnation? What would they would be like, the fuck is a pigman doing here? That would be the initial reaction. Anyway, moving right along to Burnout. Thank you for those questions, Travis. Moving on now to Burnouter7, who asks, what would the Cowboy Bebop crew think of the crew of the Normandy? I think they think, man, you guys need to lighten up more. We're in it for the money. You guys are doing it for glory. Fuck glory. Second question: what would the Bebop crew, if the Bebop crew was sent after Riddick, what happens? That'd actually be kind of cool. I mean, yeah, the universes don't match up, but that would be kind of cool of seeing Riddick try to fight his way against the Bebop crew. Alright, who wins in these fights? X-23 versus Vicious, and Spike versus Red Hood. I don't know, honestly. I don't know who would come out on top in those two. I might say Red Hood over Spike, but that's tough to say. Alright, thank you for those questions, Burnouter. Moving on now to Cinder222, who asks, what are some of your favorite songs from the series? The initial opening, duh. That's real, when you think of great anime themes, that's usually, on your top 10 list on the most part. And just the whole orchestra in general is just amazing. Alright, where do you think Julia was, and what she was doing while she was hiding from Vicious and the Syndicate? I don't know, probably biding her time? There was a rumor, I heard this weird fan theory that she ran off to have Spike's son in secret. I heard that was a fan theory. That's actually a fan theory you could see happening. She ran off to have Spike's son in Spike's child in secret, and then runs back to go find him again. All right. Third question: do you believe that the entire series was a dream that Spike had, and if so, do you think it was what do you think his life is like in the real world? I'm not really buying that one. Because if it was all a dream, I would be seriously pissed off. Alright. Alright, moving on to Wolf. Thank you for those questions, Cinder. Moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks, Ed meets the Eds from Ed, Edd, and Eddy. What shenanigans are we looking at? What type of shenanigans are we looking at? Oh, nothing much. Just your typical destruction and chaos. And more chaos. Second question, pick one. Swapping vocal cords with Spike and have the most badass cool guy voice ever, or have a romantic evening with Faye that ends with hot and wild sex. Well, I can't pass up good pussy. But on the other hand, sounding like Spike for the rest of my life instead of what I sound like right now, that would get me tons of pussy. I'm gonna go with Spike's voice. Anyway, third question. Cowboy Bebop Firefly crossover. What happens? Malcolm and Ed get drunk and have a Mexican standoff with Han Solo. Boom. Anyway. Alright, thank you for those questions. Wolfman the Impaler. Moving on now to the Spawn 117, who asks... Yeah, the Spawn 117, who asks... first question. What do you think of a Cowboy Bebop Aliens crossover and a Cowboy Bebop Evil Dead crossover? I don't know how you could do Evil Dead in space, but I've heard that was a comic once. But for Aliens, yeah, Alien you could put anywhere, and I think Alien could actually work in the Cowboy Bebop universe. Maybe have it that the Bebop crew goes off to this derelict ship. They get hired to scavenge this derelict ship and bring back like some xenomorph eggs, and then boom, insanity starts. All right, what would the Bebop crew reaction? What would the Bebop crew reaction be if they saw Godzilla? Probably not good. Just saying, not good. All right. Mitchmeister asks, Lupin the Third and Bebop crossover. How could you see that happening? I don't know. Because Bebop's so far in the future and Lupin's in the past. I honestly don't know. In your opinion, could there have been a better ending to Cowboy Bebop, or like the one... I like the one we saw. I like that ending. No need to change it. Have you seen Cowboy Bebop movie, and what is your opinion? I love it. I love that movie. I think it's amazing. Alright. Thank you, Mitch Meister. Moving on now to RoboKaiju75, who asks, how would you do a Bebop Guardians of the Galaxy crossover? How would I do a Cowboy Bebop Guardians of the Galaxy crossover? I don't know, maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy accidentally get shot into the Bebop universe or something like that. I don't know. Or they get sent to the future. I don't know. All right, if you could make your own Bebop video game, how would you make it? Probably in the vein of like of Far Cry. Like it's a first-person game, you can go anywhere, or maybe even GTA or Mass Effect, where you could go anywhere and maybe just free roam. Maybe like, what's that new game called? Sky's End or whatever the fuck. Alright, how would you do a Trigun Bebop crossover? I don't know, they're after Vash? I don't know. Alright, moving on now to Fire Tools. Thank you for those questions, by the way, RoboKaiju. Fire Tools asks, I remember reading a Predator Bebop crossover that was pretty cool and had a very awesome ending. What do you think of the crew would react to a Predator running loose? Actually, I know the fanfiction you're talking about, and yeah, it actually is pretty fucking cool. It's on fanfiction, and I think it's awesome. Yeah, and I think it would be. I think that's a crossover that could work, and yeah, I could totally see that. I think it would just be awesome. So yeah, I think that they'd be scared shitless, but still. Second question, what would the Lagoon... I already answered this one with the Lagoon Company. Alright, third question. What do you think of a Metroid Bebop crossover, specifically where Ridley appears and starts wreaking havoc with the Bebop crew and several other bounty hunters coming together to hunt down a rampaging space dragon? It'd be awesome to see, but I don't play enough Metroid to even help on that. Alright. Moving on now to MB Free, who asks... I asked them... Hang on, wait, what is your question? Since the Cowboy Bebop takes place in space, should we have seen different alien species instead of just humans? Well, here's the thing. Cowboy Bebop, even though it takes place in space, is just centered in the Sol system, which is our system, our planets. So really, there's no, if there is life out there, it's not on our other planets. It's on other planets, not in our galaxy. So our galaxy is just colonized by humans, honestly. Alright. One of None, so thank you for that question, MB Free. Moving on now to One of None, who asks, Faye is giving you the bedroom eyes. What do you do? Hit that harder than a tree on Endor. Alright, what do you think of Ed? What would Ed think of Pinkie Pie? BFFs. You get a bounty on your head and Bebop crew comes fighting. Your death or go willingly? Go willingly. Thank you for those questions. One of None. Moving on now to Dylan Malone, who asks, what alien life forms and other media can work well in Cowboy Bebop? Maybe the xenomorphs and predators. You can put them anywhere and they work. Alright, who is your favorite villain from the series? Easily Vicious, because he lives up to that title. How will you incorporate Cowboy Bebop in your new fanfiction website? Oh, the one I'm working on with Craig Simon. We haven't really discussed that yet. We're still kind of working on the space stuff. We're mostly working on Earth stuff. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Dylan Malone. Moving on now to Jerkwater100, who asks, who would win a fight between Spike and Frank Castle? Can't talk today. Who would win in a fight between... I would have to give it to... I don't know. Maybe Spike, because he's a little more... They're both pretty resourceful, so actually, I don't know. Alright. What would happen if Grand Admiral Thrawn became the enemy of Spike, Ed, Faye, and Jet? Oh, they would get totally destroyed. Just utterly destroyed. Alright, what would Ed, Faye, and Jet think of Spike's death? I think they'd be really sad about it, even though they kind of hate each other. I think they'd be like, oh, shit. He's dead. And I feel bad about it. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jerkwater. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, the Bebop crew meets... I already answered this one. Who will win in a fight, Spike or Vash the Stampede? I don't know, because Vash is a really good shot, but Spike can take a lot of damage. It's another draw for me. Third question. Ed creates a portable interdimensional gateway that lands on the barn and soon meets up with Lapis and Peridot. What happens next? Oh, do not put Ed and Peridot in the same room. Do not do that. No. No. Alright, thank you for those questions, Andre. Moving on now to Shockwave Spider, who asks, can you tell me what Cowboy Bebop is about? Cowboy Bebop is pretty much a show about... is an anime set around a crew of bounty hunters on a ship called the Bebop. And, yeah, it's just a bunch of one-and-done stories of them going around looking for bounties. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Jonah Hex versus Vicious, who wins? As much as I like Jonah Hex, I think Vicious could easily cut him down, sadly. What is your favorite thing about the series? Everything. I know that's a cop-out, but everything wins on this. Alright, and finally we come to Son of the Dragon, who asks, how would the Bebop crew react to the other spacefaring criminals and bounty hunters like Guardians of the Galaxy and Lobo? I think they would look at them and go, seriously, now we have competition that we couldn't possibly beat. Second question, what would they think of the crystal gems? I think Spike would hit on Pearl, and I think Pearl would kick him in the face. What would happen if they met Alien or the Predator? They would totally get their asses kicked, sadly. Anyway. So there you go, guys. Yeah, I think that's all the questions. Once again, I want to thank everyone who sent in questions. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, once again, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means it was marked as spam or something else happened to it. And I apologize for the fan. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Hope you all enjoyed this Q&A, and I will see you guys later.